It's a beautiful day today and we're reading some more Entitled Parents, which means it's going to get even more beautiful. And I hope you guys are excited. Having such a chill day today. And I don't even know why, but it felt like an entitled parent sort of day. So yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful time and let's get straight into it. If you're the parents who brought their out-of-control infant to the Lion King on Broadway and didn't take them out when they were screaming the whole first half, congratulations, you win the Most Entitled Parents of the Year award. I'm so glad that you got to enjoy a show out, even though you obviously failed to find a babysitter. Never mind the rest of the theatre goers who also paid to see the show. How dense and self-centered can you be? Oh my god, Lion King on Broadway? Like even some random movie at the cinema and somebody was doing this? That'd be frustrating enough, let alone something like this. Like, oh no, it's totally fine that they're screaming and they have been screaming the entire time. I'm not gonna take them out. Yeah, that's unbelievably rude. So selfish. Yeah, like the top comment says, so incredibly rude. The establishment should have tossed him considering how disruptive that was. I'd definitely be asking for my money back or tickets for a new show. Yeah, and that's how it should be as well. You missed a lot of this show. And also, how embarrassing if you're that parent. I don't understand how they can do that and not feel so bad. Probably being self-centered and entitled. Okay, the next one is an update to a post we read in the last episode, I think. Update to my mother-in-law photoshopped my husband's nose on our wedding pictures. I'll play that post now for any of you guys who haven't seen that. But if you did watch the episode where I read this post, you can skip to this time on the screen. My mother-in-law photoshopped my husband's nose on our wedding pictures. How do I tell him? Okay, so first of all, why would you do that? I, 27 female, have been with my husband, 29 male, for 7 years. I remember that early in our relationship, one of the first things that he expressed insecurity about was his nose, specifically about its width. He never wanted surgery, but thinks his nose is too big for his face. I never thought that was true, and for a long time I wondered where he'd even gotten that idea from. Then I met his mother, and all my doubts went out the window. I don't hate her, but the woman complains about everything, and she seems particularly interested in criticizing her sons. Barely anything about my husband or his older brother is good enough for her, and if it is, she's quick to imply that they don't deserve it. According to my brother-in-law, that behavior didn't start until father-in-law passed away about 8 years ago, so they don't usually hold it against her. But to me, it seems like she legitimately doesn't want her children to be happy. Most times that we talk to her, my husband ends up devastated. She constantly complains about me, his job, our apartment, and his appearance. She has on more than one occasion suggested that he gets a nose job. That tends to upset him, so I always try to shut that down as quick as possible. We got married in early May. The photos were ready about 2 months later, and we created a shared album on Google Photos for our friends and family, including mother-in-law. I got pregnant during our honeymoon. Can't recommend Dubrovnik enough. And I'm now 24 weeks along. We've already had problems with mother-in-law concerning my pregnancy. We're having a boy, and she had a breakdown because she wanted a girl. That forced us to put her on an info diet. That was 2 months ago, and she's since improved her behavior. And because of that, we said yes when she invited us to go to a mall near her place to shop for baby clothes last Saturday. My husband had an emergency at work and ended up not coming, but we still managed to have a good time. When we were done, she invited me back to her place. I hadn't been there in a while, and I quickly saw that she'd gotten some of our wedding pictures up on the wall. I instantly noticed something was wrong with them, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was yet. Mother-in-law saw what I was looking at and proudly announced that she'd gotten someone to fix his nose. Oh my god. In other words, she gave her son a Photoshop nose job on his wedding pictures. I couldn't believe it. I never thought she'd stoop so low. It wasn't even a good nose job. It was so bad that my husband's face didn't even look real. He looked like a Ken doll and not in the hot Ryan Gosling way. Mother-in-law must have seen how mad I got because she instantly tried to defend herself. She tried to make the point that her son deserved to look his best on his wedding day, and I should have convinced him to get the real nose job before our ceremony. I made up an excuse to leave, but I could tell that she knew the real reason. She's been calling and texting me almost every day since. I've been ignoring her, but she's always either apologizing, accusing me of overreacting, or begging me not to tell my husband. I know it seems trivial, but I'm so outraged, and the more I think about it, the more disgusted I get. I could never imagine doing something like that to my child. I haven't told my husband yet, mostly because we've both been busy with work this week, but also because I have no idea how to. His mother was finally starting to be a better person around him and his brother, and I know it'll break his heart to find out about this. I don't know what to do. I have to tell him, but I can't figure out how. I know he loves his mother, and I don't want to damage whatever a relationship they still have. Mother-in-law also mentioned that she intended to send the improved pictures to some of her relatives, so I have to find a way to shut that down. So how can I tell my husband that his mother photoshopped his face on our wedding pictures? More importantly, what would be the most peaceful way to do it? That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, obviously, it's so awful, but at the same time, how do they expect them not to find out? Yeah, so why is my face completely altered on our wedding photos? Hey dudes, I'm back. Thank you to everyone who took the time to offer me advice on my last post. First of all, I want to clarify that not telling my husband what his mother did was never an option. She wouldn't remove the pictures from her house unless I either told him or threatened her. Had I done the latter, she could use that against me in the future or even implied that I agreed with her. Plus, he was bound to find out at some point, and I knew it'd be better if it came from me. I asked how to do it, not whether I should. So I sat him down last Saturday and I broke the news. I explained what the pictures were and mother-in-law's excuses for them. I also showed him the text that she had sent me since the visit. The whole conversation, I was calm and straightforward, but I made it very clear that not only did mother-in-law's actions completely disgust me, but I never agreed with her about his appearance. He's the most gorgeous man I've ever met, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with his nose. I also made sure to point out that the Photoshop nose made him look like front-facing Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, and mother-in-law needs to get her eyes checked if she thought that looked good. I thought the news would hurt him, and I was right. He didn't cry or anything, but I could see it in his face. The odd but common combination of disappointment and acceptance. He knew that his mother wouldn't change, but still had some hope. It was almost heartbreaking to watch, but for the first time in a while, he seemed to believe me when I said that his nose was normal. He told me that now he knew just how ridiculous mother-in-law was willing to be. Her opinion meant a lot less to him. So even though he is hurt, he feels stronger than ever. As many of you suggested, I told him that he was free to approach the situation however he pleased, but I don't want to be around his mother anymore. Most importantly, I don't want her to be around our son or any other kids that we might have. Not only because of the guilt-tripping tantrums that have become her standard behavior, but also because of the way that she treats the people she's supposed to love. I know she loves her family, but I doubt she knows how love works, and if she's willing to treat her sons like this, I fully expect her to be even worse to her grandchildren. In the end, my husband and I decided we're going very low contact with mother-in-law until the holidays. Some of his relatives are having a party the week before Christmas, and she'll be there. We thought about skipping it, but he has cousins that he hasn't seen in years coming to the party. He's been looking forward to seeing them for months, and it doesn't feel fair to let mother-in-law ruin his excitement. After the holidays, we'll decide how to proceed. Regardless, she won't be allowed to see our son at the hospital when he's born, and once we bring him home, she won't be left alone with the baby. It doesn't matter how much she tries to improve. That's not something that we're willing to budge on. In spite of everything, my husband doesn't want to cut ties with his mother, and I understand that. Even if he wanted to, we can't go fully no contact without cutting off the rest of his maternal family as well, which he is firmly against. What works best at the moment is to treat her like Domino's Pizza. She exists and that's okay, but we're not getting involved until she actually improves. Wow, that's so funny. I also decided to tell some of my own family about this, and everyone I've talked to agrees that mother-in-law went over the line. My father's a narcissist who I'm low contact with due to his entitled behavior. Most recently, he tried to make me disinvite his ex from my wedding so he could bring his mistress, and even he was offended on my husband's behalf. And if even my mediocre respect your elders father thinks that your children are right about you being an a-hole, you've probably gone too far. We talked to my brother-in-law and he's the one who informed my mother-in-law of our decision. She didn't take the news well. She's now trying to call both me and my husband and keeps texting apologies and promises to take the pictures down. We're ignoring her. Brother-in-law visited her yesterday and apparently the pictures are gone. She believed that that was enough for us to forgive her, but he clarified that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Before anyone calls us dramatic, this isn't just about the Photoshop. It's about the damage she caused in both her sons' lives. I was abused in a similar fashion in my teens by dad's ex, and I refuse to allow my child to grow up believing that he's anything less than beautiful. And same goes for my husband. That's all. Again, thank you guys. Yeah, and good on you for putting your foot down with her as well and creating these sorts of boundaries. Like, yes, super low contact definitely sounds like a good idea. You're looking after your family, and that's beautiful. The next one is called Entitled Dad Gets Pissy at Me for Not Letting Him Break the Law. I sell archery gear, and bow hunting is highly regulated here. Only pest species are allowed to be hunted, nothing native. This guy calls up and the following conversation occurs. C. Hi, I just moved here and I wanted to buy a bow to hunt snakes. Me. Okay, I should probably tell you that. C. That it's illegal. I know, but I still want to do it. He knows it's illegal but still asked me. Red flag alert. Me. I can't sell you equipment if I know you're going to use it to break the law. C. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to hunt snakes with it. Me. But you are. You already said you are. At this point, the customer knows he already messed up by telling me his intentions. C. Well, how can I move move forward with this? Me. My recommendation is to contact your local pest control services for snake removal if you're having a snake problem. C. No, I mean, how can I move forward with buying a bow from you? Me. I'm not selling you anything that I know will be used to break the law. C. I know they're a protected species, but I have to protect my kids. I have the right to protect them from dangerous wildlife. Me. They're a protected species for a reason. You don't have the right to kill them just because they're dangerous, and I can't condone the behavior that you're advocating for. There are legal ways to deal with this problem. C. Oh, Mr. High and Mighty over here. You sell equipment knowing that it'll be used to kill innocent Bambis, but a dangerous snake is crossing the line. You're a freaking hypocrite. Me. Hunting deer is legal because they're a pest species that destroys native flora and fauna, and they need to be culled as they have no natural predators here. Snakes live here natively, and they're an important part of the ecosystem. In these circumstances, you're the deer, a dangerous pest species that is a threat to the native wildlife. C. My kids come first, and F you and F the government for protecting snakes, and none of you can tell me what to do, and no law is going to stop me from me. Goodbye. And at that point, I hung up. I understand the desire to protect your kids, but this entitled attitude and complete disregard for the law is unsettling. Wow, trying to get snakes with a bow and arrow and using the excuse that they want to protect their kids, and they want to use a bow and arrow to do this? What? That's so confusing, because obviously imagine how hard it would be to hit something the shape of a snake with a bow and arrow, and say they were good enough at archery to be able to do that. That would mean they would have needed to practice like every single day for years, which means that they would already have a bow and they wouldn't need to buy one. So what are they doing? Just trying to go and shoot stuff that they're definitely gonna miss anyway? What? It doesn't even make any sense. But yeah, it sounds like you handled this so well. The next one is called Parents Brought a Screeching Baby to Five Nights at Freddy's. This happened a few hours ago and I'm still pissed. I went to see Five Nights at Freddy's last night since it was sold out on Friday, and at every theatre by me during the daytime, I found a theatre by me that was showing Five Nights at Freddy's well until 11 p.m, so I figured that it would be dead. It wasn't really, but it was still okay. 9:40 p.m, the time where tiny children should be asleep, right? No. Everyone is sitting down, and when the movie starts, the theatre goes quiet till the murmurs of a baby can be heard. A kid around 7 comes in, and then a dad, and then a screeching baby and a mum. They came in right as the movie started, and they were loud the entire time. Now, this kid didn't cry at the jump scares. Instead, it kept making sounds for the entire run of the movie, and I mean louder than the movie sounds. The people around me were pissed, and they kept shushing the child as it waddled and ran up and down the aisle that they were in. The parents acted as if we were crazy, and kept on ignoring their whining, screaming baby as if it'd just go away. People would leave and complain, and when movie people came in, we saw hope that they'd be asked to leave. Instead, they looked around for the earbleed demon, and they left as soon as they couldn't locate the screeches. At that point, the kid said, "Mama, ga." It's like the kid is right there. The mum took the kid out for like 5 minutes and then came back in loudly and said, "Mama really wants to see the movie." Put the kid on the ground and let it continue to run around. The father ignored the kid. The older child seemed unbothered, like he didn't even hear a peep from the kid the entire time. Crotch Goblin would go quiet for like 10 seconds, enough time for some hope, and then continue to run around, and then semi-sleep on the chairs, that annoying thing that bored kids do, and just be a menace to the theatre. And you can feel the vibe in the theatre. We aren't scared, we're all pissed. At least I know my row was, since they were right ahead of us, so the screeching wasn't even muffled, it was like an eardrum destruction. Then, right as the movie ended, and I mean the first credits came on, even before the lights turned back on, they were gone. Now they leave? What the hell? It pisses me off so much, cause screw the parents and screw the theatre for allowing this BS. We all pay insane amounts of money just to see a movie. I've waited so long for this, and I just wanted one nice evening out, and these families come in and the theatre people see the baby and they say nothing. Oh, you're gonna take your 1-year-old into The Conjuring 2? Happened to me. Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, theatre should be for 7+, because at 7 you should be old enough to just be quiet. I don't really hate the babies, even though I dislike kids, because they're too young to understand what be quiet means, or what sit still means, but come on. No one deserves to have their movie ruined by kids. To have kids cry all throughout the beginning of Endgame because Thanos got his stupid head chopped off, or for kids to screech because the Emperor is scary. Boo-hoo, he was on the screen for what, 2 seconds? And then it was over. Or for kids to ask, why is Batman? A million freaking times. PG-13 or 14A should still mean something. It should mean that if your kid isn't 13, they can't get in. They don't get to get in and scream and cry during the whole movie. That's the point of most kids' movies, is that scary stuff is limited. And I had this happen when I was a kid, and my grandparents took me to see Pirates of the Caribbean Caribbean, and Davy Jones scared the hell out of me. But you know what they did? They took me home. They didn't let me scream and cry during the whole movie and ruin everybody else's day. They understood that I was too young and they took me home. It's not that hard. And I get it, if you don't have a sitter, that sucks, but why would you want to punish everybody else? Edit, for those saying I should ask for a refund, I should point out that the theatre isn't in the best shape, and by the time I got there were no employees around. It was 11:40 and I waited around for a bit, but there was no one. I was pissed and I left for my bus. When another movie I saw there had a technical issue, they gave us vouchers that were expired, and then the theatre closed for a few years. I avoided the place for years, but I went back last year and I saw the Batman. The roof was dripping water and I had no clue if it was a part of the movie or IRL. I found out when the lights came on. The staff aren't helpful and they disappear, or as I said in the story, they don't do anything. People complain they came in to take a look for the kid. It's a small theatre room, it wasn't that hard. And after 20 seconds of barely looking, they left. Never going there again. For anybody interested, it was a Cineplex and they suck. It's a crappy theatre, but I've never encountered entitled people there, since the town it's in is kinda sketchy. I figured that the worst I'd encounter is my seat breaking, again LMAO, or the projector breaking, again lol. And you said that multiple different people went out to complain, but the staff will come in and they wouldn't find them and then they'd leave. That's so awful for the staff to not even try and handle this. Cause yeah, of course, you'd get up and you'd go and find some staff to help, but you said that people did that and they still didn't do anything. That's so bad. I feel like you should straight up be sending complaints in about this, and also never going there again. The next one is called Entitled Stepmom is getting her family to harass me because I won't compromise my faith. So some background context is required to fully understand my situation. I, 23 male, am the younger of my brother, 26 male. My mum was old school Catholic and my dad was an atheist. Me and my brother were raised Catholic. My dad never minded. When I was about 11, my parents got a divorce and my dad got custody. My mum changed after the divorce. Me and my brother are no contact with her. A little while after me and my brother started being outspoken atheists to stick it to mum. In reality, my brother was just coming into his own and the church just didn't have a place in his life. And I was the kid brother who followed his big brother. My dad almost instantly remarried to a woman that I affectionately called the witch as a kid, because I didn't know how my dad loved her without her putting a spell on him. She was rude, elitist, gold digging, a total Karen. My dad changed too because of her. He still loved us and he tried his best with us. I will defend that he was a good father. His only flaw is his taste in women, but he never really was the same and always curtailed to his wife. As a kid, I was plagued by night terrors. I barely slept most of middle school. Of course, my stepmother's suggestion was medication and therapy. Nothing against it, but it wasn't what I needed. I know now that I have trauma relating to my mother's abuse and her encouraging my brother to... You know what? Oh my god. One day I was searching through some old boxes and I found my communion cross gifted to me. Because of the nostalgia of a time I had an actual family, I hung it on my wall. I slept like a baby for the first time in years. That was sophomore year of high school. I realized that I felt safe around Catholic symbols. It's not like anything else in that time of my life was comforting me. So I started escaping my home in the local church. The congregation accepted me and I even started apprenticing with a blacksmith who went to the church. Around the start of junior year, I was a born-again Catholic. I wore a cross that I forged myself every day. On the face, my father and stepmother were supportive, and if Karen wasn't around, my dad genuinely supported me, drove me to church and such, but my stepmother would ask that I not wear a cross out when there's guest sofa. Also, one of her favorite things to do is to give house tours to lord over them how much her husband makes and how nice her house was. After I decorated my room with some religious items, she stopped showing off my room, which I did not mind. She also screamed at me if I ever dared to leave my Bible anywhere outside of my room. She would also make snide comments constantly. This is already too long of context, so I'll paraphrase. At 18, I enlisted and I served 5 years in the Marines. I got back home. I'm crashing in my old room until me and my brother can rent an apartment together and I start college. My stepmom introduced me to a daughter of her friends. She was pretty and nice when I met her, and I could tell the two mothers were trying to get us together, so I decided to go with it. We went on 2 dates, and while we didn't really connect, I was having a fun time playing civilian, so I decided to keep going. The friction started in the planning of the 3rd date over text. The only day she had available was Sunday. I told her I was volunteering Sunday afternoon. She asked what about the morning, have a breakfast date. I said I had church. She said I didn't know you were religious. I replied, yeah, I am, and I offered she come along too, to volunteer with me. I'm helping the church with a small fair. Local artist selling work to raise money for the church. She was an artist, so I thought she'd like it. She just declined and stopped texting me. That was 2 days ago. Yesterday I come back from a run to my stepmom and the girl's mum having brunch. I grabbed some water and I had a cordial conversation. The topic of the 3rd came up and they asked why I didn't go. Confused, I said I would go. I just had plans Sunday and we needed to find a new date, and explained what I was doing. My stepmom said in a half a annoyed voice. Oh, you're still on that? I learned from an early age that I can't even engage with her, so I just said, yeah, I am, and walked away to beat my frustrations out on a knife that I was working on. Well, apparently the mere mention that I was still in my religious phase gave the girl an ick. Well, last night she knocked on my door and asked to talk, but she barged in before I could even say no, and then she started talking at me about how a girl like that comes once in a lifetime, and I shouldn't be vindictive just because she doesn't share my delusions. That confused the hell out of me because I was the only one that was ghosted, and I never did anything to be vindictive, so I asked her what she meant, and she went on one of her "my voice is calm, so I'm right" rants about how I should have cancelled my plans to take her out on that Sunday, and just because my church says that men can treat women however they want, doesn't mean they can. At that point, I left the room. She's impossible to fight with, and if she gets angry, then all hell breaks loose. I learnt that on Christmas Eve when I was kicked out and left in the cold when I was 14. After that, I haven't heard the end of it from Stepmom. I just lost a good girl over a myth, or women don't like stuck-up men, and as per usual, my dad is staying out of it. As for the girl I was set up with, I don't really care. I mean, it's her choice, and honestly, I'm trying to ask out a childhood friend anyway. I think I was just being nice by taking her out. I also don't care that my family is atheist. They have every right to believe what they want. Hell, I served 5 years to protect that right, and I personally believe that the worst sin one can commit is to deny someone their convictions, but it's getting hard not saying something back. The rest of my family is either backing her or not getting into it. My step-aunts are sending me atheist articles and other gotcha pieces about how Sky Daddy doesn't exist. I'm literally the only member of my family I have a relationship with that's not outspokenly atheist. I'm already a black sheep for enlisting instead of going to an Ivy League college and not selling my soul to politics or business. I've asked them to stop, but my wishes aren't being respected because they need to unbrainwash me. It's getting annoying. I don't want to go low to no contact because I love my dad and they're apparently a package deal. My brother, being the only rational person, is backing me. He thinks the whole thing's stupid and is putting in more time looking for apartments for us so we can just leave the house. I'm not hopeful that they'll come around and accept me, but I'm not compromising my faith because my stepfamily wants to be snooty. Update. Thank y'all for the advice. Just to respond to the general answers I'm getting, I'm not going to be petty and try to show her up, act holier than thou to piss her off or generally cause a problem. I'm going to turn to the other cheek and live my life. For those saying I have blinders for my dad, that's probably true, but I'm not going to abandon the man who raised me, taught me everything it means to be a man just because of his wife. My religion has nothing to do with my mother. I chose Catholicism out of my own free will, not because my abusive mother controlled me. A lot of you guys have had bad experiences with faith, I get that. I don't want to discount that, but it's what held me together during my worst moments, and it's been warped by people to their own ends, and that greedy, vindictive side is what most people see. Wow, that's so awful. The stepmom sounds like something else. I can't even imagine having to deal with somebody like that. Yeah, like this comment says, your stepmom is clearly nuts, you clearly are not, and if a girl is going to ghost you over being religious, it was never going anywhere in the first place. All the best with your apartment search. It's good to know that your brother has your back. Yeah, like why did they want them to date this person so much? Was it because it was their friend's kid? You said they were a gold digger, so maybe they had money or something. Either way, they didn't even know what was actually going on, and they're using it as an excuse to be mean to you. And also, overall, they sound bloody awful, and I feel like that's enough for today. That was a beautiful episode, but we definitely need to read something wholesome. I overheard a conversation between second grade boys. Do you think you'll ever fall in love? I don't know. I think if she likes pancakes, then probably. Oh, that's amazing. And I guarantee in 20 years, I bet you they still feel the exact same. Well, you know, do they like pancakes? That's the real deciding factor. God, that's hilarious. A random person who said good morning to me when I was walking by them. Oh yeah, how nice is that? Did I just make a new friend? It's so nice when people are friendly. My girlfriend working late on a tough project. Me coming over to give her a kiss. Oh, that's so beautiful. Supporting each other no matter what. Good wholesome memes today. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day today goes to Goo Papa. Freaking Aussie accents always sound so sarcastic. Edit, that's why I love them. Yeah, also, I am pretty sarcastic in these episodes. Probably too much, to be honest. But yeah, I'm so happy you don't mind my accent. I do see comments that are like, oh, I can't listen to this guy. And I do completely understand. But yeah, I'm so happy you like it. Thank you guys so much for all the ongoing support. It means so much to me. And yeah, once again, it's late at night, so I'm gonna go to bed, ready for a new adventure tomorrow. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!